Work, zero pay, but the skills went up. Work, zero pay, but the patience increased. Work, zero pay, but the team got bigger. Work, paid. And then 7 years later, they say, look at that guy, what an overnight freaking success. Overnight. But what they didn't see is those works, skills increase, no pay. Work, patience increase, no pay. Work, team increase, still not much paid. Work, boom, paid. Usually the 10 years that nobody sees behind the scenes is the thing when they call you an overnight freaking success, they're complimenting you for those freaking 10 years that nobody ever seen behind the freaking scenes. Get used to it. Because those three things that I said, the skills, number one, the patience, number two, and the team, number three, is what's going to hold on to in success for a lifetime, and you're trying to rush it. We're sitting down in Dubai right now. Listen, we're sitting down in Dubai. 7 years ago, I'm sitting in this city, starting to build my business. About 8 years ago, actually. So 2017, October, November. So exactly actually 8 years ago, I started building my business. I gambled all my chips from sales commissions into my business. For the first 6 months, we developed platforms, systems, marketing, ads, nothing hits. I go to Dubai. Somebody says, man, I got this meeting in Dubai. I want you to meet this person. The meeting flops. I'm sitting down here and I start to think about ways to grow my sales agency. I'm broke, busted, and disgusted again inside of my life, inside of my business. First time in the last decade that I probably had less than $10,000 sitting in my bank account. I remember being here thinking, how the heck did this happen? And at that moment, I started to build out my agency. One night we go out for dinner, beautiful restaurant here. I'm never gonna forget, we were there last night. That's why I'm making this video. It's called the Urla. The bill comes out, there's 12 people. And the guy, because everybody was around me, the waiter, because I was the center of the meeting, the waiter comes to bring me the check. I think the bill was 70% of my fucking net worth. 70% of my net worth. I'm sitting there trying to make this deal happen, right? And I'm like, well, I gotta pay it. I put my card down, I pay the bill. Couple $1,000s left in my bank account, sitting in Dubai. I reserve a hotel room, cheap hotel room for a month. And I'm just thinking to myself, here goes an overnight success again. And I start working and I start building out my business. A customer says, no, we don't need your sales reps right now. We're already good. No, we don't need an outside sales agency. We're already good. And I start trying to figure out clients. And every single time somebody told me no, zero pay 1 week. Remember, my bank account's not going down. Okay, I'm spending on food every week, and I'm spending on the hotel every week, some little expenses here and there, okay? Paying for some family expenses back home. Remember, for the last 10 years, I was used to making a shit ton of money inside of sales. Gambled all my chips inside of the first 6 months of business, didn't make nothing happen. Now I gotta go proactive, be productive, go out there and hunt business. First week, don't get paid, but my skills going up. Why? Because I'm starting to hunt. Okay, what are people telling me when they say no? Okay, now I know this is what they're telling me when they say no. So my next conversation, I'm gonna anticipate and eliminate it. Skills going up, still not paid the first week. But by the way, every single time I heard no from a client when they needed one of my salespeople, my next conversation, I had a little bit more sales. I had a little bit more ammunition. I had a little bit more skills. So I started off my next conversation with the no in mind and not my product in mind, so I can already eliminate it before they gave it to me. See, I wasn't getting paid, but my skills was going up. By the way, if you are in sales, these are the highest 3 attributes you can have as a salesperson, okay? Increasing your skills, increasing your patience, and then after that, building a freaking team based off what you know from phase 1 and phase 2. That's how you build up a team, and that's how you skill to have freedom. So then my skills started to go up. And then after I started to realize by phase 2, skills go up, number 1. Phase 2, I started to learn how to master the no. I didn't need to know how to master my product. If you're in sales right now, you're focused on how to mastering the product. I learned how to master the no, because if I can master the no, the product became easy. So by the second week, my skills were out of the roof. Now, second week, I still don't get paid. Why? Because contracts take a while. So now my skills are out of the roof. I start getting yeses to come in. But the link doesn't get paid, the contract doesn't get signed, so what starts to build? Patience. Still not paid. I'm down to my 4th week. I remember I reserved the hotel for 30 days. I think the visa was expiring. I'm down to my last week. And my skills are increasing. My patience is increasing. Now, guess what? I have to take a flight home. But the problem is, there's a few $100s left in my bank account. Now I'm stuck here. I'm in Dubai. 8 years ago, I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, I have probably $250 left in my bank account. And it's not enough to pay for a flight back home. Not enough to pay for a flight back home. I think I had 2 days left on the hotel reservation. And all I keep doing is I'm like, let me just stay on activity. Let me just keep calling people. Let me just keep selling reps. I had an agency model where I trained an outsourced sales game. Boom, a link gets paid $5,000 for, I think it was 2 sales reps for a company. They paid me $5,000 up front. The money gets deposited in 3 to 5 business days. I call a friend, I'm like, hey, listen, can you lend me $4,500? I'll give you back the money, $5,000 in 1 week. Just lend me $4,500, I'll give you $500 interest. Boom, sends me over the money. And that's survived. Imagine Daniels G, okay, on that breaking point, doesn't know what to do. You guys can't think of this now, fast forward 7 years, 700 plus events, responsible for over, 50 to $100 million, I think at this point, inside of sales, okay? Grew an empire globally around the world, done events from every single country that you can think of. Name me a country, we've been into it. India, the Middle East, Australia, every single state probably in the United States of America, Canada, Europe, 10 different countries in Europe, been everywhere. But nobody knows this. The skills, the patience. One day, boom, get paid. And the thing that most people rush, I remember that, the patience that I had to keep going, the things that most people rush, and that's just one sort of our whole career, are usually the things that is gonna hold on to income for a lifetime. Most people try to rush skills, but skills is what holds on to income for a lifetime. Most people try to rush patience, but patience is what holds on to money for a lifetime. And then the third thing is, I started to master skills and patience. The third thing, then I said, how can I start duplicating myself? How can I focus on just getting the clients and I can focus on somebody else training these sales reps? And then I start to build a team. And guess what started to happen? Why I said team? You build the team, but you still don't get paid, because what happens is when you build a team, you take the paycheck, you give it to the team. You take the paycheck, you give it to the team. You gotta feed them before you feed yourself. If you opened up my book, okay, called The Sales Game, I said, you will most likely get everything you want after you master the sales game. However, at the expense of making people happy for the remainder of your career. That's if riches and wealth is your goal. Of course, staying broke is always an option. That was the opening of my book. And the reason why I said work, build a team, but still don't get paid, because in the beginning stage, when you're building a team, you're trying to get a lot of people to do a little, and that takes an investment. And the only way you can get back your time, create wealth with freedom, is that when you have the right systems with the right people working on it, and then you buy back your time. And the reason why I say you get paid when the team makes money, because at least that way when you get paid, you have something called freedom. Some people just get paid inside of sales, but without leverage of somebody else doing the work, they'll never have freedom. So I want you guys to understand one thing right now if you're watching this video. The things that you're probably trying to rush, which is skills, patience, and fucking people. Those 3 things, the 3 things that will hold on to your money for a lifetime, the 3 things that is gonna hold on to your wealth for a lifetime, the 3 things that you're trying to rush are probably gonna be the 3 things that is gonna hold on to your wealth for a lifetime. Skills, patience, and people. People. Money doesn't create money. Money doesn't create freedom. People equal freedom. Be glad that those things are taking a while to build: skills, patience, and people. Because most people that get the freaking big paycheck and they haven't built up those 3 things, skills, patience, and people, boom, the paycheck's gone within 24 hours to a month. And why would you pray to be the one-hit fucking wonder? Don't pray to be the one-hit wonder. Pray to be in a position of freedom, of wealth forever. You don't want it fast, you want it forever. just a quick little thing here. I started reminding myself of this story because almost 8 years later, 7.5 years later, we're sitting in Dubai. This is third time in Dubai this year, 10th time in Dubai in the last 5 years probably. And yeah, things have completely changed. But because still to today, whenever things inside of my head, I want to rush, I go back to those 3 things and I said, Daniel, you can't rush skills when you're trying to get to the next level. You can't rush patience when you're trying to get to the next level. You can't rush people when you're trying to get to the next level. Don't rush those 3 things. They take time. Just a quick little YouTube message. If you guys are on my YouTube, all I want you guys to do is click somewhere here, subscribe to my YouTube channel, click like, and I'll see you guys on the next video.